Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another installment of Tokusatsu Now, the podcast designed to onboard newcomers into Tokusatsu, as well as celebrate everything Tokusatsu by doing a deep dive for all of you longtime Tokusatsu fans. My name is Tom Caswell. This week, I am joined by our good friend Mike Williams. Mike, how are you today?
Good. Not as good as you. You had a special day.
I did have a special day. We're going to get all into it. And speaking of our special day, if you find yourself listening to this podcast over your podcast service of choice, I highly recommend doing the video. If you're on Spotify, the video is there, but the best way, I think, is to just go to our YouTube and watch it there. TomCaswell.games, my personal channel, is where you can find the videos of Tokusatsu Now, just because the back half of this show is going to cover everything I saw at Ultraman Live. There's tons of visuals. If you are unable to experience the Ultraman Live stage show and gallery that they have at the American Dream Mall, all of the visuals will be there. It'll be like you were there yourself. So in the second half of this episode, we're going to dive into all that. I spoke with the head of Tsuburaya US. I spoke with the voice actor for Ultraman in Ultraman Rising. I spoke with my friend Justin over at Bandai. Thank you, Justin, for the invite to the event, about the Ultraman Live experience and about Ultraman kind of expanding beyond Japan. But in this first half of the episode, we're just going to kind of do an Ultraman one-on-one for people that are unfamiliar with this mainstay of Tokusatsu. And I have Mike here joining us because Mike, it just knows everything, and it's fantastic. And I don't have to learn anything. I can just rely on Mike here. So yes, please, if you are listening to the podcast, consider watching the episode. Also, I have posted the full video of the live performance. So if you are unable to attend, which obviously most people cannot, you can go to that same YouTube channel, and it's already up. So we have this episode, and then we have the full show as well. That being said, like I mentioned in that video, highly recommend, if you can make it out, to go see the live performance. It is happening by the time this episode comes out. The first weekend will have already happened, but you still have an opportunity to see it on November 22nd and 23rd at the American Dream Mall in New Jersey. And yeah, if you can, I really recommend seeing it. It's an incredible thing to witness, especially after having seen so many of these stage shows through clips from Japan. To witness it in person was pretty spectacular. I also want to note, I apologize for like the light blowout, because the sun is setting much earlier now that we're entering these winter months. The point at which it crosses and just absolutely blinds me in my room now happens when we record this show, so I've got to figure something out there. So I apologize for if like you can see it'll hopefully go away very soon. Anyway, let's jump into it. Let's talk about Ultraman.
So is this your first Ultraman, or had you done anything before? Had you done Rising at all?
So I partly watched Rising with my, for lack of a better word, nephew, cousins, kids, and all that. They were watching it when we were over at their house.
Oh, okay.
Like last year it would have been. And so I caught some of Rising. I haven't watched the full thing. No, am I really a Tokusatsu fan, Mike? Because Ultraman is something I'm obviously very familiar with, but it's never been anything I've really engaged with myself. But I don't know. Yesterday I was pretty Ultraman pilled at the event. In fact, we got a little goodie bag. Maybe we'll just start off with that to show off some of the stuff that they gave us, and we can talk all about that. We got this is one of the kind of
This is the figurized
kit. No, it's the model kit.
It's called Figurize, is the model kit set.
Oh, yep. Figurize, yes. So this is the model kit. This is Ultraman Trigger. Multi-type. This is one of the more recent seasons of Ultraman, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Mike? Ultraman Trilogy?
Correct. I think it was the last one. Uh, it's either that or Blazar was the last one.
Arc, I believe, was the one
Oh,
before.
Arc. So
Yes.
then Blazar, Trigger, Arc, and then Omega is the current one.
Omega is the current one. I did watch the first episode of Omega,
Okay.
the sub. It is now the first season also dubbed. The first episode with English dubs actually just dropped on YouTube. It's on other streaming platforms as well, but most of the season at this point is out, and you can watch it subbed. So I did watch the first episode of Omega subbed, but this I also got this figure. This is Ultraman Arc. This would have been last year's season. I actually really like the design on Arc quite a bit. I think part of the reason I've never really leaned into Ultraman is I personally don't think Red and Silver look that great together, but there's no denying that it is obviously such an iconic visage for a character. Did you watch any of this one at all?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I watched some of it. Uh, the last one that I thought was amazing was Ultraman Z, which was like 2020. I want to say that was
2020,
like
yes. So that was another kind of like celebration season, right? Like it kind of, from what I
yes,
read, it kind of obviously paid homage to a lot of the old school
with
Ultraman.
cards of all of them that he would scan.
Oh, that's cool.
So then there's Trigger,
Hmm.
Decker, Blazer, which I really like. Trigger and Decker. Blazer I really liked because that one had an older protagonist with a family, which I thought was interesting.
Okay.
And it also had an ex Common Rider actor in the
Oh.
lead. Then Arc was okay, and then Omega. I'm really enjoying Omega.
Yeah, I really liked the first episode of Omega. I thought it was interesting because sometimes it's like a huge. Because, well, actually, you know what? We'll reveal the next thing that I received in this little goodie bag. This is a pretty cool Blu-ray called Ultraman 4K Discovery. Are you familiar with this, Mike?
Yes, I saw that mostly because I was looking for 4K Ultraman. Most of the releases that we've gotten from Mill
Mm-hmm.
Creek or the like are Blu-rays
1080.
and
Mm-hmm.
1080, and that was the only 4K. And I think it's like movies or something like that.
So what it is, I'm going to read the back of the box description here to get to set the stage. So Koji Ishizaka, who narrated the original Ultraman, appears as the theater manager of a mysterious movie theater where all kinds of stories from around the world can be watched. He and a mysterious girl explore the charm of Ultraman through 4 collections of episodes from the original Ultraman series centered around the themes of life, romance, friendship, and justice. So I actually watched part of the first collection here, which was the very first episode of Ultraman in 4K, which was pretty incredible to see. And yeah, it's this presentation where it's meant to be like this kind of theater, this mysterious theater, and he's the theater manager. And then this girl walks in, and she has a pendant that looks like the kind of gem, which in Omega he also has a pendant as well, and that's how he henshins. And then they kind of roll into the first episode, and the first episode of the first collection, which is Stories of Life, was the very first episode of Ultraman, which was not actually the first season of an Ultra show, but we will speak about that soon. But yes, that's what this Blu-ray is. The first collection, I think, is like an hour 45, so I think it's like 4 episodes per pack. I'm gonna watch the rest, but this was pretty cool, and to see it in 4K, it's so funny to watch these shows and think, oh, of course they were planning to air this, you would watch it on a TV at the time where a lot of the, because of the technology of being able to view it, even though it was being filmed in a very high resolution, it paves over some of the cracks of the show, and it really reminded me of I don't know if you're familiar with Thunderbirds. It's a British TV show.
Yeah.
So
I haven't watched a lot of it, but I've seen it.
Yeah, which it has, because it's not just unlike something like Sentai, where it's the city, and then you have the people in the suits. They also have like their jets and everything are toys, and some pretty spectacular like miniature work in that first episode. So that was pretty much what was in that little goodie bag, which is pretty cool. But let's jump back to the very beginning. So Ultraman is the brainchild of Eiji Tsuburaya. Tsuburaya kind of got his start in special effects very early on. He was filmmaking from a very early age. He started out as an inventor and then kind of transitions to special effects work at the turn of the 20th century.
And when we say young, we're talking, I want to say like beginning of 1920s, 1919. Because he started prior to World War II, which is gonna be important in his story.
It's very important in the story. So yeah, he was born in 1901, and he started making movies basically once he turned 18. And he worked as an assistant cinematographer on multiple movies. And in the 30s, in 1937, he was employed for his first stint at Toho, which is the legendary Japanese entertainment company. And it was there that World War II happened, and Toho made several propaganda movies for Japan, which he did the effects for. He was the effects director for a lot of these. He was the effects director on a movie called The War at Sea, from Hawaii to Malaya.
So and part of here is that what's happening. So he's a cinematographer since he's from 18. He's shot composition. He's a James Cameron guy. He's very interested in technology. And I think in 33, 34, whenever it happens, King Kong, he sees it. And he's like, oh, this is it. This is the money.
Yep.
And despite the language barrier, sits there, and I mean, he's got money.
I believe, 1933.
Yeah, he's been, he's got money. He's been working for the studio for quite a while. He gets a print, he breaks it down and tries to figure out how to do it. And from then on, he's the special effects guy. He started cinematographer, he is special effects. And then that brings us to stuff after that, going into World War II. A lot of the special effects that he's using are the kinds that you were talking about in that episode of Ultraman, miniatures and stuff like that, like flying planes, and which is part of what gets him sort of in trouble. They're like, wow, that stuff looks too realistic. You are obviously high up in the some sort of part of the Japanese government, so you're gonna have to go away. So Toho kicks him out. He was at Toho since its founding.
That happened. Yeah, he joined Toho, and then in 1948 he was purged by the Supreme Commander of the Allied Powers. So this is post World War II, at which point the Allied Powers, specifically the United States, in each of the three major Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, they kind of occupy the country for a spell and just kind of try and decouple the Nazis from the government. And because of Tsuburaya's work in with the propaganda films, he was kicked out. And he founded. It's during this time that he actually founds his own company, but he does go back to Toho only a couple of years later. So I guess the moment the US left, he was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, so he was working for a bunch of studios doing special, because again, he was the special effects guy.
Yeah.
He was working for a bunch of studios on the down low.
Yeah.
And then Toho was like, come on, move back in. So while he's at Toho, we're moving to 1954, and
Godzilla.
Godzilla comes out, and he is the special effects guy. He doesn't direct the film, but he is friends with the director. He has worked with him before, and all of the special effects in Godzilla are Eiji Tsuburaya's team.
Mm-hmm. And he had obviously a lot to do with the story as well, and all of the characters. So like Godzilla is as much Tsuburaya's brainchild as it is anyone else's, as well as Mothra. All of these original monsters, and he helped with Rodan, the Mothra film, King Kong versus Godzilla, pretty much for the next like decade or so, as Toho, Godzilla becomes this cultural moment, a global phenomenon very quickly. And so they were like, cool, this is what we're doing. And he helped develop all of these films. And then in the mid-60s, he transforms his like tech lab, which is the company he founded, into its own production company called Tsuburaya Special Effects Production. And in 1966, they launched the very first Ultra series, which is Ultra Q. This is a black and white show. It is as DK, who is the CEO of Tsuburaya US, that we're going to have a little interview snippet with later on in the show. As he explained to me, it's kind of like X-Files meets Kaiju. It's about like a special operations team that are like doing like Kaiju hunting, but there isn't Ultraman. Ultraman is not in the show.
Yeah, so Ultra Q begins sort of, I believe he had a horror anthology. It's called like something Unbalance, that he started working on, and then he had another show with aliens that he was working on, and he slammed those together to create Ultra Q, which is sort of like a Twilight Zone, X-Files-esque thing, with an investigative team looking into all sorts of weird paranormal stuff. But while this is happening, the TV studio's like, hey, we know what you're good at. All of the other non-kaiju stuff is cool. You can keep maybe doing that. But can we get a little bit more kaiju in there? So he obliges. I mean, the man's a businessman. He's out there trying to pay for his technology.
Yeah.
So he obliges. So Ultra Q slowly becomes very kaiju focused. Mm-hmm. Even using some Godzilla costumes during it.
Yes, they actually repurposed suits from the Godzilla films and modified them for the show.
Yeah. So obviously, Ultra Q is a major hit. A lot of people don't realize this. Ultra Q was very big in Japan.
Yes.
So he automatically
became like a household name pretty much off of the show alone.
Yep. So off of the success of that, he works on the next Ultra series, which is Ultraman. If they're going to ask him for kaiju, let's just make the show focused entirely around kaiju. So Ultraman is born. Unlike Ultra Q, which is black and white, Ultraman is in color.
Full color, yes.
Yep. Full color, so
you got to get this 4K Blu-ray. It looks so good. the restoration and the transfer that they've done from the original film strips to this disc is pretty incredible. To the point where there are people that the very first episode features like a scene of like campers, right? Because it happens at this lake. where an alien ship crashes into the lake, and
Mhm.
there are these campers there, and I'm like, wow, everyone here looks like they could be from today, based on like fashion sensibilities of now. That's incredible because it's in 4K, like it's crazy to watch. But yeah, so
Yeah.
and that happens the same year. It isn't like Ultra Q runs for a long time and then we get Ultraman. Both Ultra Q and Ultraman air in 1966.
Yeah, so they're making Ultra Q in the previous year because it starts airing in January of 66.
Mm-hmm.
And then as they're doing that, they're also working on Ultraman. And some of the ideas sort of blend over. Like the shows aren't really actually connected. Like Ultra Q is the first Ultra series show. And I think like one monster, one or two. I know Ragon appears in both as a connection, but otherwise they're not really connected. And you can see Ultraman as sort of a distillation of what worked and what was popular in Ultra Q.
Because he has a team and he works for like a science division, and I think like and then they have the jets and all of this, so there is still that element of investigation team X-Files kind of vibe still happening in the background of
right. Yeah, he works for the Scientific Investigation Agency, and that is an idea that is like we talk about Super Sentai and Kamen Rider sort of having specific tropes that carry forward. Ultraman or whoever turns into Ultraman has a team behind him usually that helps him out, and that team is not always the Scientific Investigation Agency. It changes names. There's always some weird acronym. Omega's is a little bit more low-key, more friend groupish, but a lot of the other recent ones, like there's an actual like group, like a government group that's paid and stuff, but that starts really in Ultra Q, and they sort of carry that over into Ultraman and codify it. And it's also worth noting that like the first main character, Shin Hayata, is like a guy that he's not actually Ultraman, and that's part of one of the differences from, say, Kamen Rider or Super Sentai. Like Ultraman is an alien who is giant.
Yes.
Who has given part of his life force, whatever, to Shin. And Shin transforms into Ultraman using the beta capsule. Yeah.
So they merge. Like he is who he is when he is a dude, just a regular guy, but then when he hits the beta capsule, they kind of meld into one being, and he becomes Ultraman. But he doesn't. The first episode, and I don't know like where this story element goes. Like, I guess I'll see in the rest of the episodes. But at the end of the episode, he doesn't realize that he became Ultraman. Like he doesn't. He kind of detransforms, and I don't think he has like any recollection, or maybe he's just misleading the rest of his crew. Do you know anything? Like, does he remember when he's Ultraman?
Yes, and you'll see. I'm not going to
spoil.
And that's not like a like they'll play around with that idea of Ultraman being, and you watched Omega, so like
I saw the first episode, yeah.
Right, and so that's another example of a different style where Omega, the Ultraman, and Omega, the human-sized guy, are actually the same guy.
Yes. Is that new? Is that something that they haven't really done before?
They, like I said, they play around. Okay. Like the Ultraman is not like hard like Super Sentai or Kamen Rider. It is very much the Ultras. The aliens are always from the land of light. Is the human a separate person? Maybe. Can they talk to each other? Whatnot? Like they'll go all over the place with that.
It's interesting reading because it's also this show that's had inconsistent gaps, right? Like for the most part, pretty much since the beginning of its era. Airing Super Sentai has been running forever.
Yeah,
already. And then Kamen
yeah.
Rider had a bit of a gap, but there are two blocks. Whereas Ultraman ran from the mid '60s to the early '80s, and then it goes away for 15 years, comes back in the '90s, and then from the '90s to the late 2000s, it's kind of running on and off, kind of inconsistently.
Right. And the episode counts are all over the place.
Yes.
It settles around, I think Ultraman is 40 episodes. It settles around 50, but sort of the modern Ultraman from Ginga on. I think Ginga was 12 or something like that, but then they get up to 25, and 25 is about where they are now.
Yeah.
So while Kamen Rider and Sentai usually run around 50 some odd episodes, somewhere in the 50 range, all year. Ultraman runs every year now, but for only half of the year. It usually does 25 episodes.
Yeah, so we have obviously a big mainstay of the show in the 90s is Ultraman Tiga, which is I would say probably one of the most iconic seasons of the show from everything I understand. And
yes, it's not really a trilogy. Well, the Tiga Dynagaya group, which is well loved.
Right. So while most seasons are disconnected, and there is some kind of looping back at some, trying to reconnect some of the seasons and the lore and all of this, it's a bit wishy-washy. You have Tiga, Dyna, and Gaia, and they are seasons that are sequential to each other. They are continuing the story. Is that right?
Similar to Kuga and Agito.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. That reference makes sense for me.
Yes.
Which are the first two Heisei era Kamen Riders, which Kuga and Ahito share visual, Ahito looks
there's continuity, but
yeah.
but that's not really what the show is about.
You're right.
Does that make sense? Kuga and Agito are definitely this is
they
of the
separate,
same world,
but they are they are more intrinsically connected than later seasons, which are very disconnected from the prior.
Right.
So as you mentioned, Ginga, we have this period from the mid 90s to the mid 2000s where it's on and off for a bit, and then in 2013 is really when Ultraman starts to, I'm pretty sure we've had a season every year since then, with Ginga starting in 2013. So we have Ginga 2013, Ginga S 2014, X 2015, Orb 2016, Geed 2017, R/B 2018, Tiger 2019, and then Z in 2020. And then we've had seasons Blazar, Trigger, Arc, and now Omega. So yeah, it's been on TV every year since 2013 without any breaks. So of your, across all of the seasons that you've seen and are aware of, which would you say are the ones that people should check out for their first little taste?
My Ultraman choice is Ultraman Z, just because it's relatively recent. It gets across the idea of what Ultraman is, and it's just a great show. Probably before that, Tiga.
The 90s one.
Yeah, the problem is Tiga, Dyna, and Gaia. So all of these are available, well, most of them are available through Mill Creek Entertainment, who's done a great job in getting those out there. Tiga, Dyna, and Gaia are DVDs. We do not have Blu-ray releases, so
interesting.
I would probably go with Zet, because you can get the Blu-ray of that. You can see it on the Ultraman channel. You can see it on the YouTube channel. It's just a fun series, and it's very, like I said, sort of common show, the show that's this will give you an idea. Like in Kamen Rider, I would say Double is probably, if it was available, I'd say that was one of my favorite choices, but probably Kuga. And then for Super Sentai, ooh, that's a good question for Super Sentai.
Gokaiger?
No, because I think you need to at least have a little bit of not like for Gokaiger to really hit. You need to have a little bit of knowledge. It'd be something like Kyoryuger or Shinkenger, something like that.
Shinkenger. I mean, Shinkenger is a great standalone season. Well, back on Ultraman, there's also been two very kind of important movies for Ultraman that have happened in the last couple of years. The first being Shin Ultraman. This is directed by Shinji Higuchi and written by Hideaki Anno, who is obviously the creator of Neon Genesis Evangelion, who also did Shin Kamen Rider and Shin Godzilla. Yeah, yes. So that's the Shin trilogy, right? Of movies. I haven't seen Shin Ultraman. I assume you have, Mike. What are your thoughts on that one?
I have. I like it. Oddly enough, of the Shin trilogy, it's Shin Godzilla, Shin Ultraman, Shin Kamen Rider. I am probably against the crowd. I do not really like Shin Kamen Rider.
It's a movie with specific. You really got to be on board for what that movie's selling you, I think.
Like some of the fight scenes are very good, but I don't really like the way the plot is told, and some of the parts that like there's an early fight in there against the Shocker Goons that I thought was really good, and I was like, man, I wish it had more of that.
Yeah, and it kind of ends very anticlimactically as well. Yeah. It was cool to be able to go see a Kamen Rider movie in US theaters. Like, that was pretty crazy. But, but anyway, so Shin Ultraman, though, is worth the watch.
Yes, and it kind of splits the difference between the two. Like, it's in the style of Godzilla in that there is
kaiju.
Sort of kaiju, but also a focus on, like, government and stuff like that, in addition to the actual, like, here's the fights happening and here's Ultraman appearing and stuff like that. Gotcha. Like Shin Godzilla is like half bureaucracy, like folks in meeting rooms being like, "Oh, good man.
Godzilla movies are." A lot of that in Godzilla minus one. And then the other Ultraman movie of consequence is Ultraman Rising. This was the Netflix animated film that came out last year. Like I said, we interviewed the voice actor for the character of Ken Sato. This is an English language film. I mean, obviously, it's there's a Japanese dub, I'm sure, but it was done in English. And this movie was, like, people who know nothing about Tokusatsu were talking about this movie. And like I said, like, it was on at my cousin's kid's house. You know, they are familiar. In fact, I sent them, like, I texted them yesterday, the father yesterday. I was like, your kids like that Ultraman Rising movie? Well, do I have the event in New Jersey for you to go check out next weekend? I assume you also saw Rising as well, Mike?
Yep. A lot of fun. About legacy, like fathers and sons. Interesting spin to it. I am not. How do I say this? Part of Tokusatsu for me is folks fighting in a thing. So the more CG it becomes, like Super Sentai has done this, and a lot of its giant monster fights, like over reliance on CG. Yes. So even better CG, I'm like, I mean, that's cool, but that's not necessarily what I'm here for.
Yes.
Although, if the Rising team wanted to do a Kamen Rider or Super Sentai, I probably would watch it.
Yeah,
But
it comes back to that discussion of whether animation counts, and obviously it does. But as you mentioned, yeah, like I like to see the tactility of the suits and the
yeah,
actual,
for kaiju, I like to see the actual like full big guys, or at least to really sell me on the weight. Even like the Western side MonsterVerse, Godzilla and Kong films, like they sort of sell me on the weight of it, in a way that Rising does not. But there was also the Netflix Ultraman show, which was based on the manga,
right?
which I enjoyed a lot.
Oh, you actually enjoyed it? Okay, cool. I was seeing quite negative comments about it online, but I'm not familiar with it at all.
It depends on if you like the manga. I like the manga. The show sort of peters off a little bit later, but I like it overall.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So there's plenty of Ultraman that's accessible for those that want to check it out. The last thing I wanted to talk about before we kick over to the footage from Ultraman Live, we talk about the toyetic nature of these shows, right? These shows can exist because they sell toys. And that's something that is like a complete black hole for me with this show. So what is your familiarity with the merchandise? How are they able to kind of continue, doing this show based on the merch that is coming out of Ultraman?
I mean, it sells pretty well. This Ultraman has always been very merchandise heavy. A lot of toys of monsters, a lot of toys of the Ultraman itself.
Yeah, and this is the one that feels like it's not just the gadgets that you're selling. Like the primary driver is actually probably the characters and specifically like the different kaiju.
Right. Although they've sort of been leaning into the I'll call it the common writerization of the show. Like usually you'd get like a single Ultraman, maybe like 2 or 3 forms, maybe another secondary.
Okay.
But probably since Ultraman Z, they've been doing more like more forms, more different. Like Ultraman Omega has sort of an armed, like he will be Ultraman, and then there will be a monster thing controlled by the other friend, the other guy that you met in episode 1.
Yeah.
And he can sort of glom on and become different weapons for Omega.
Based on the monsters that they fight, kind of thing?
Yes.
Cool.
Based on various monsters that you will run into during the series. But yes, more forms, more an actual thing that you have a play pattern. Mm-hmm. Like you can put cards in it, you can put little figures in it, stuff like that. Modern Ultraman has sort of leaned more into that in a way that previous seasons didn't necessarily. Usually it's just like, here's the Ultraman. Get out there and do it, Ultraman.
Smash together the kaiju. Very good. Oh, well, Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to chat about Ultraman and getting people caught up to speed on what Ultraman is. People refer to Tsuburaya as the godfather of Tokusatsu. And while we, as we've previously established, Godzilla is definitely Tokusatsu, I think that how people would more clearly define Tokusatsu is once you put a human in a hero in a suit, right? Like someone in a costume that is a hero, versus the monster costumed people. Like there's something about Ultraman where it may not be the first entry in Tokusatsu, but it feels like it encapsulates everything. Godzilla has an asterisk for me a little bit because we don't have the heroes that are transforming and everything. Not to take anything away from Godzilla, obviously. No one Godzilla not struggling, very popular IP. But yeah, it's kind of this thing of like Ultraman feels almost like okay, now we really have a clear defined thing of what Tokusatsu is. So yeah, lots of options for people to watch. And in a moment, we're going to cut over to the Ultraman live experience. Like I said, it's going to be showcasing everything that was at that exhibit. They had toys, they had dioramas, they had giant statues, and of course the live performance itself. So please stick around for that. And very visual. So highly recommend going over to watch the video version if you've been listening to the podcast so far. Mike, thank you for joining me today. Where can people on the internet find you to come harass you for your opinions on Ultraman, the anime?
As I say every time, you can find me on Blue Sky, mhwilliams.bluesky.social. I'll change that to something real one day. That day is not today.
Ultra Mike.
I'm not that far into. I'm more of a Kamen Rider guy. So
sure. Which is so funny because you're so knowledgeable about Ultraman. Like this is my least favorite one, but I know so much stuff about it. Anyway, Mike, thank you again for joining me. My name is Tom Caswell. You can find me at Tom Caswell Games, tomcaswell.games. Please stick around for the Ultraman live experience, and we will see you next time.
Ultraman is this incredible superhero that saves the world from giant kaiju, and it is a lot of fun. There's a lot of history. You got over 60 years of content, basically. It's just something that you have to see to believe. Ultraman Live is a live stage show that's going to feature several Ultraman characters, including amazing kaiju, and they're going to be battling out on stage. It's about a 20-minute show with some fun voice acting and some crazy stunts. Wacky, wild mayhem ensues. When the live show is not happening, there are meet and greets happening where fans can meet their favorite Ultraman or kaiju, as well as a beautiful exhibit that encompasses everything from 1960 all the way now to 2025. There's crazy statues, there's displays, figures. We even brought product available for sale that is normally only available in Japan that you can get right here at American Dream during this event.
Tsuburaya, who just recently won the Visual Effects Society's Pioneer Award, goes way back in terms of the tokusatsu design and visual effects movement. He was the story writer of the original Godzilla, and he had partnered with Inashiro Honda in his role at Toho as the director of such classic monsters as Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, and they together created this fantastic suite of Toho monsters. But then in the mid-60s, as all great creative geniuses do, he broke away and followed his dream to create the Lord of Light, Ultraman. And in 1966, Ultraman arrived here in North America. It was shown on regional syndicated TV to children of all ages, sandwiched in between Speed Racer and Simba the White Lion in 90-minute Japanese IP blocks. It was one of the great exports to America of Japanese culture during the Showa era of Japan. It held everybody's fascination for a couple of decades. Then, due to litigation, was held away from American fans for about 2 generations. And now it's back in a big way. We have over 60 Ultraman individual series. We have 2,600 kaiju. Who knows how many cities they destroy, how many lives they save, and how many great episodes of adventure they partake in. And what we're real pleased about here at TFMPE is that we brought most of this content now to AVOD platforms all over the US. The current series, Ultraman Omega, is the first to be streamed in English on innumerable AVOD platforms at the same time that it was available in Japan. So you could watch Ultraman Omega on Amazon, Plex, Pluto, Tubi, Fossum, and Zumo. And after you consumed all that, you could go also to Fandango Home and Happy Kids and all those other previously mentioned AVOD platforms and watch any of the 60 Ultraman series. There's about 2,000 hours of Ultraman for you to consume right now in North America, and they're all fantastic. Majority of them are in the original Japanese language with English subtitles, but we do have some in English for the little guys to join their parents and enjoy Ultraman. But for you purists out there, you could always just watch it in its original language, Japanese. I think we're at the tipping point with Ultraman. The thing I dig about Ultraman, which separates it from anime, which of course has been embraced and I think some people even forget came from Japan, it's so omnipresent, is that Ultraman is tactile. All the fights, the battles, as you can see behind me, they're handmade. The cityscapes were handmade. The guys in the suits are wearing handmade suits while they're fighting. The characters are all sculpted. It's very tactile. And I think that kind of artistry, that craftsmanship, is what's beginning to fascinate people more and more.
I have been extremely surprised at the success of Ultraman Rising on Netflix. However, I should have known because the fan base of Ultraman is incredible. They really pushed those numbers up. And of course, I mean, they made Ken Sato a heartthrob. How are you not gonna fall in love with that? When I was a kid in Japan, I watched Ultraman on television. And I remember going to the festivals, the Omatsuri, and I'd get the Ultraman mask or the Ultra 7 mask. So for me, ever since I was a child, I had a love for Ultraman. Now as an adult, I get to portray the first global Ultraman. It's such an honor, and it's so cool. The amazing thing about Ultraman and the franchise is that once you watch it, you're compelled to watch more. Whether you grew up watching Ultraman from 1966 during Ultraman Q, or you're watching the newest iteration of Ultraman Omega, and or if you watched Ultraman Rising on Netflix, you're going to fall in love with the franchise. The stories, they speak to your heart because we're all beings of love and light, and we all understand the fight. I'm happy to watch everyone's eyes light up when they become a part of this fandom. For me, Ultraman has a special place in my heart. If they ever ask anything of me, believe me, I'm there. Whether it's on camera or continuing to do voiceover for them. My goal is to continue to support and raise awareness and spread the love that is Ultraman to the world.